Shalom, family. It's good to see you. Hopefully, more people will come. I just wanted to talk briefly about something that happened last night, and it is really, truly a lesson learned. It just goes to show you just because someone is older than you, it doesn't mean they have any wisdom. Some people are just old. That's it. There is no wisdom within them when it really should be. You have lived all of this life and seen so much that you would think, they would be able to guide you along the way. But that is not the case. Wow, it's 5:29 a.m. on the West Coast, Christopher Clipper. Yeah, you're an early bird. You're up at that hour. And but it was something that I needed to hear from myself. So yesterday, now my uncle, he sends me fruit from Florida. And he sent me a box of plums, and these are the biggest plums I ever seen in my entire life. These plums are huge. They're way bigger than this crap they sell us here in the stores up north. So I called to thank him. He put me on speaker. One of his friends were over. So we start talking about a variety of different topics, mainly politics, because, look, these old men, they sit in front of the TV all day listening to all of the crap on, mainstream news. So we start talking about voting, and his friend strongly disagreed with me about not voting. And he tried to tell me that the anti-lynching bill was something for us, and the Democrats were trying. And I said, no, no, it's really what they did was really nothing. It's a nothing bill. And he was like, no, no, this will help. And I was like, no, it's not going to help. Y'all, it's been 500 years, right? 500 years. Lynchings have been going on through chattel slavery all the way up until today, right? We can all agree on that. Can we all agree on the fact that in all of these centuries, not one person in the past or present have been accountable for the lynchings? Give me a name of somebody that was arrested over a lynching of a melanated man or woman in this country. In the last 500 years, give me one single name. There has been no accountability in all of this time. None, right? And this is what I was trying to tell him. And I said, and to add insult to injury, they put the name of Emmett Till on the bill for anti-lynching, and even he didn't get justice. And they know it. But see, the midterms are coming, and these are the things they're going to try to prop up in our faces. Oh, well, we gave you the anti-lynching bill. You didn't give us anything because y'all don't, historically and even up to present day, you have never punished one single person for a lynching in America. That bill is just going to sit around and collect dust. That's all it's going to do. Think about it. There's been lynchings, not only publicly, these people didn't even try to hide the fact that they were lynching, right? They would advertise the lynching. The media would advertise lynchings in the paper. And then after the lynching was over, they would show the pictures of the dead body still hanging in the tree, all mangled up and mutilated. They showed these pictures all across the South. They sent postcards all across America. They weren't even trying to hide the fact that these lynchings were like a sideshow. They all showed up. Most lynchings happened on a Sunday afternoon after these demons got out of church. And I actually discovered that when I was doing my family tree, because I was trying to see if anybody in my own family was lynched. And when I went through the records, my grandmother comes out of Coffee County, Georgia. So I was looking through the records to see if there was any family members that were lynched. And then when I went back on the calendar to see the dates of the lynchings, a lot of them fell on a Sunday afternoon. And they documented everything. They were not ashamed of those lynchings. You can still get court records on the lynchings. Now, lynchings didn't only take place in the public. The military also lynched quite a few melanated men. And prison, all of those hangings in these jails around America are not suicides. You never seen a CO or even an inmate get in trouble for our men hanging in these jails in this country. And with a record like that, do you think they're going to let an anti-lynching bill mess up their streak of no accountability for lynchings? They're not going to let that happen. You got to be a fool to believe that. And the funny part is my uncle actually agreed with me. His friend didn't. And then I said, when I was a child, y'all, and we would go down south, I was born and raised in the city of Philadelphia. I didn't grow up in the South. So I didn't see a lot of that stuff that went on. When we would go down to visit, my grandmother on my dad's side would hide the newspaper because she didn't want us to be, my brother and I, to be traumatized by the pictures. Okay, she didn't want us to be traumatized. Not only were they still lynching in the South, they were tar and feathering down there too. And she didn't want us to see that. So she would hide the paper, but we would always find it and we would look at the pictures. And every single time there was a lynching, those pictures were printed in papers all throughout the South. They didn't care. They didn't care who saw it. Now, they still want to lynch us, and they still are. But they want to make sure there's no accountability. This is why the police will show up on the scene and say suicide at the scene. No autopsy done. Body hasn't even been turned over to the medical examiner's office, nothing. It's a suicide. So just know the intent is always for no one to be accountable. So therefore, the bill by default is junk. It's a pile of junk. Now, it's one thing if Emmett Till got justice, and you put him on the bill, but you put somebody on the bill that didn't even get any justice whatsoever. Family never compensated financially for what happened. Nothing. Everything's a suicide. The lynchings in the prisons, suicide. If they find you in the woods, suicide. Y'all remember a few years back, a black woman was found hanging in a Walmart parking lot. Don't they have they had cameras everywhere even a few years back. So how is it that that body got up in the tree and nothing was caught on camera? It makes you wonder how many people are heavily involved. So who switched off the cameras? A Walmart parking lot and there's no cameras, but a woman is found in a tree? Come on, you got to ask yourself, wait a minute, where were the surveillance cameras? And do y'all remember even before her, there was a young brother that was hung over an overpass down there in Georgia. Do y'all remember that? How the hell is somebody dangling from an overpass? Where were the surveillance cameras? Where were they? How come they don't work when these lynchings are occurring? And a man with their hands and feet bound together committed suicide. I mean, I mean, just to this very day, just taking us for fools. So after that conversation, and I said, "You saw these pictures." And he did admit when he was coming up, because he grew up in Florida, he saw those pictures of the lynchings. So how do you see all of those atrocities growing up in the South, and your mind is, well, I still need to get out there and vote. And that anti-lynching bill is better than nothing. How do you get to that point in your life? You know, isn't that another form of self-hate where you can see your people going through all kinds of hell and you just accept it and you continue to vote? I'm sorry. To me, that's another form of self hate. John L., thank you so much for the super chat. That is one of the many reasons I got my CCW and carry everywhere. I hear you. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But I just don't, I guess I just don't understand that. It's one thing if you didn't grow up in that environment. He grew up in that environment, y'all. He grew up like that. And you still just like, it's just like when I look at Herschel Walker. You grew up in Georgia. Okay? You grew up in Georgia, the number one state in slavery. You grew up and you're still a cone? How the hell is that even possible? But it is. It is. It is. You couldn't possibly love your people enough and see what's going on, and you still want to be part of the system. I mean, look even at the Constitution. They have, we are three-fifths of a human being. Whatever they are, they always try to project onto us, right? So they say we are three-fifths of a human being. Look at all the time between when the Constitution was written all the way up until now. They had ample time to get that out of the Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. and they chose not to do it. They chose not to do it. They had plenty of time to amend that, and they chose not to do it. But we still got people talking about their rights, and the Constitution was not intended for us to have rights. That was really for them. Even the part about gun ownership, being, having the right to bear arms, they're talking about themselves. They're not talking about us at all. Yeah. Well, look, it's all in the genetics. Now we got a 9-strand DNA, and anything they can't figure out, they call it junk DNA. That's because they can't figure it out. But when you look at, you want to go to monkeys, when you go and look at monkeys, monkeys have what, 5 chromosomes? And white people got 6. And we got 9, which means we would be the furthest away from a monkey. Okay? And that's the truth. We are the furthest away from that monkey. We are. Okay? There's no doubt about it genetically. Mhm. So it was interesting, but it also opened my eyes to the fact that, our heavenly Father said 2/3 are not going to make it. And when he says 2/3, y'all, that's 2/3 of all ages, from the youngest all the way to the eldest. Okay, will not make it. And it's sad to see so many people like this out here. This man is going to vote during the midterms. He doesn't care. And yes, we spoke about Juneteenth as well. And I said, that's really for everybody. Everybody gets a day off. It's not like they're saying, okay, the melanated people can have a day off. Everybody else got to work. They didn't say that. Everybody in the country gets that day off. It's a federal holiday. And who's going to be working besides some of the essential workers? And usually those essential workers are people in our community. Yeah, so your stores are still going to be open on Juneteenth. Your supermarket is still going to be open. Your pharmacy is still going to be open. And those essential workers are, remember, during the lockdown, it was more people in the Black community working than any other group in the country. And that right there proves that, it's our people that are those essential workers out there. But, hey, he wants to get out there and vote. At the end of the day, it is his right to do it. I don't agree with him. And I did shut him down a few times, especially when I told him with that anti-lynching bill, nobody has been held accountable. Do you think because they wrote that bill that all of a sudden accountability is going to crop up? And I tried to tell him, I shut him down. He couldn't even come back at me at that point. But he still, at the end said he's going to still vote. So, hey, that's on him, you know, and he knows we're not getting anything. We don't need an anti-lynching bill. An anti-lynching bill is useless. Nobody's been held accountable. So what you giving us that for? And Juneteenth, I never met anybody that wanted Juneteenth to become a federal holiday. Many of us acknowledge Juneteenth on our own. We didn't need this government to set up any kind of holiday. We were doing that on our own. We don't want those things. We want what's owed, and that's reparations. Anything short of that is never going to be good enough. And that's what these politicians, the media, all of them that try to put these things in our faces, this is what they must understand. If there's no tangibles, you are not trying to right the wrongs of past and present. Because, even in present day, they do a lot of wicked things to us. I know a lot of us talk about slavery, but you need to start bringing up the mass incarceration, the exonerations that are happening every day in America. Prosecutors and judges and police hiding evidence that could have cleared a person from going to jail. Look at the stuff they're doing now. Racism on the job. You go to work and people are hanging nooses at the job. Our kids are being hassled over their hair in school. We can go on and on about a lot of the things that are happening in present day that we need to be compensated for. If you say that was a long time ago, okay, then let's sit down and talk about the stuff that's going on now. Are people going to shop in a store and being profiled and you didn't even steal anything? How many times have I done stories on a man or woman going into the store from our community and they get accused of stealing and nothing was stolen? Nothing was stolen. Or our kids riding their bikes down the street and Karen comes out the house and start bothering them. Let's talk about present day since you don't want to talk about the past. Let's talk about the fact that you are taking our taxpayer money and you are giving us no policing. You are not improving the education in our communities. You are not building up our communities. You're building up communities everywhere else. And even if we want to get a loan to start a business within our communities, we get denied loans even if our credit is good. So if you want to talk about what's going on today, then let's talk about what's going on today. You have literally stolen our taxpayer money and you have given us nothing. Now you robbed of us of our taxpayer money and you're giving it away overseas for somebody else to enjoy. No. So we can talk about what's going on now, y'all. Let's talk about all of these traffic stops of our brothers that result in a death. Nobody should end up dead in a traffic stop. Nobody should be demanded to get out of the car in a traffic stop. And nobody ever goes to jail. Nobody ever nobody ever has to pay the price. When you stop somebody on the road, give the damn citation and move on. Too many are ended up dead. And even if they stop someone and that person committed a crime, you call for backup and you give them, you arrest that person. Or if you feel, okay, I can handle this on my own, arrest that person. Even they shouldn't end up dead. If there is something that pops up during that traffic stop, you arrest them. You don't pump bullets in the back of somebody's head. It's still not justified. It's just too many incidents that even go on now that are unjustified. They think we should die over stupid mess. Oh, well, they were in the store shoplifting. So? And Trayvon Martin, oh, he was on the internet holding a joint. I mean, how many white teens are online with joints? It's just so petty. You can't leave these people in charge because they have already proven they will never, ever, ever do what's right. You can't leave them in charge. There is a reason why we must go through the changing of the guard. We have to. Nothing is going to be right as long as they stay in charge. They have already proved, you know, justice and making sure justice really is for all is not in them. It's not in them. And how many times have one of our men and women died at the hands of either a racist or a police officer, and they come online mocking and laughing at the death? They've been doing that for hundreds of years too. They used to mock and laugh at the death of our men that were lynched. That was a mocking done. And just them sending postcards around the country was a form of mocking. And the media announcing where lynchings are and posting pictures of the lynching. The media in this country are just as guilty. See, there's a reason why when things happen, they are always on the side of the police officer. And that is because historically, that is what they have always done. Cinnamon Star 808, thank you for the super chat. They blame the older generation when they are active racists. It's not their great grandparents alone. No, it sure isn't. Cosmic Dream 1990, thank you for the super chat. I got pulled over for a broken signal light when I stayed in South Carolina, and two more police officers were called. A scary moment for me. I bet it was. And why do you need that amount of police officers for a broken taillight? They should have just gave you the ticket and you should have been able to move on. That's what I'm talking about. These people make a damn grand finale out of a traffic stop. It's a traffic stop. It's a broken tail light. So what? It happens. Write the ticket and move on. Mhm. Mhm. And y'all, we haven't even spoke about the crack epidemic. Not one living soul held responsible for the crack epidemic. Not one living soul. And the one man, Gary Webb, that spoke out against it, they pumped two bullets in that man's head and said it was a suicide. How the hell do you shoot yourself in the head twice and that's a suicide? Boy, these people just take us for fools for real. They do, you know. And remember, y'all, there were people in our community saw them dropping off the drugs and the guns and everything back then. They said they would see them just come into the neighborhood. They said they would see white men come into the neighborhood dropping them drugs off. But every time they would try to complain about it, they were dismissed. It's ridiculous. So, like I said, if you don't want to talk about the past, then let's talk about the present because we got plenty of things that have happened in just this year alone. If you want to just talk about this year, at the end of the day, you need to fork over the money. That's what you need to do. So, y'all, I'm not going to keep you any longer. I just wanted to kind of get that off of my chest. But now I know, there are some that I just got, you just have to accept there are some older people with no wisdom at all. And these folks don't have senility. They know how to follow a conversation, but they have gotten themselves so knee deep in a system that have been rejecting them all this time, but they are hell bent on hanging on for dear life. And that is the truth. You know what, Reginald Robinson? You said they dropped off guns in Chicago. They also did that all over. They've done that actually in all over in the major cities around the country. They did that in Philadelphia, you know? And I don't know if any of you have ever experienced a Philadelphia cop. They are nasty and they will literally come on the scene and cuss you out if you call them. I mean, these cops are that nasty in that city. And I know this because I grew up there. Those cops will come out and cuss your butt out. Okay. I mean, it's that crazy. So, y'all, please enjoy the rest of your day. And those of you that do, the Bible study with me, I will see you later. I got to post that. I will get that posted soon. And I will also put in the community tab the eclipse for anybody that want to watch it live stream. The eclipse will start 2:45 p.m. my time, Eastern time. So I'll post that and I will get that other link up for the live stream later on today. So y'all, wherever you are, I pray the Most High keep the strongest hedge of protection around you always. Shalom, family.